Good morning. Welcome to Crypto Charts Daily. This is the Crypto Charts Daily Report. Today is Friday, September 26, 2025. And as you guys can see, the daily close on Bitcoin was catastrophic. But if you guys have been watching since the beginning episodes, we have been calling for the lows of 107. So we'll be breaking this down and much more in today's technical analysis. Let's get right into it. So we did end up breaking below that 4 trillion. The market cap is sitting at $3.75 trillion. CMC 20 decreased by 1.7%. We are in a very fearful state here now, 32 out of 100 here. Altcoin season still in the 70s, and the average crypto RSI is becoming oversold again. Now let's jump right into the technical analysis. As we can see, this daily candle closed way below that 4-hour order block or that 4-hour low. And again, we will just look for the close below 107,300 here. And we will look for the test of this higher time frame support that broke structure here at about 104,720. Jumping onto the 4-hour here, Wednesday's episode, you could see we said we had to break that high. We didn't end up breaking that high on the day, and we ended up coming down and closing below that low on the day. So doing exactly what we thought here, headed right down to those 107 lows. Same thing for Ethereum, failing to liquidate that low and then get a push up. We did not get a push above the highs of 42,300. And we did end up closing well below that low on the daily candle. So we did say we're just going to look for price to return to the structure and test this higher time frame support of $3,500. Jumping down on the 4-hour, we can see how we did now return to that structure. And if that structure is acting like a support and resistance flip, we'll look for the highs to break of about 3,970 for then price to go fill and balance or perhaps break these highs now. But if price continues to close bearish below these lows of 3,800, we'll just look for price to go test that higher time frame support. XRP here, we did say on Wednesday, if price closed above this resistance line, it would perhaps flip support again, but we just need to see how it accumulates. We did end up just closing back below the next day. So this is going to flip resistance for now on the higher time frames, and we'll look for a retest of that 283 zone. Jumping down on the 4-hour here, you can see how we broke this minor low, this order block that broke this high here. So I would expect price to retest this resistance or perhaps come test some imbalance in this order block. But again, we'll just look for the break of these lows at 270 here on the day to then go test higher time frame support of about $2.50. Jumping into the altcoins, Binance coin, we did say if we close below that low of 963, we then look for the break of these lows and the eventual push down to take some liquidity and return to higher time frame support that broke structure here, higher time frame order blocks. And if price continues to close bearish, we'll just look for the test of that support or this higher time frame support and resistance flip at 667. If we end up respecting this order block and this imbalance on this daily candle, and we could flip back above some sort of highs, that newly formed highs, we'll look for strength to highs. If on the 4-hour we break below the structure here that's holding price up this order block, if we break below 913, again, we'll look for the push down to support. Solana, big close below that low here on the day, and we are just looking for the test of the support at about 187. It does look like a lot of pressure into this zone though, so I would look for price to break this and then retest, but we'll just see how it accumulates here over the next week. If we do end up breaking below this over the weekend, look for the retest and then the push to higher time frame support. Cardano ended up closing below its support and resistance flip here on the day. We are retesting it and wicking right now. So we will just look for the break and retest now of this resistance zone. I would like to keep in mind though, we do have a break of structure here and we are returning to this order block, wicking this order block now. So watch for price to bounce around here in between this area And if we could get a break back above this resistance, we'll look for the break and retest to highs. But if we continue to close below this order block, we'll just look for this higher time frame support. Chain link closing below lows, so we will just look for that higher time frame support to be tested of about $17. That Baroque structure here. If we end up closing bullish and coming up, look for the test of this order block that broke this low here of about $23. Stellar lumens on the day, we are still holding that low, but price looks incredibly bearish. We've retested that resistance, and now we are trying to break these lows here of about 34 cents. If this low of 34 cents does break and we do close below it on the day, look for the higher time frame support to be tested of about 28 cents, and there is a fib level of about 33 cents from high to low of this bigger move. But again, we're just going to look for a price to continue trending bearish here until we could break these highs again. Avalanche did end up closing below the lows here, so we will look for price to test that higher time frame support of $21. We could easily have some sort of resistance flip here, support and resistance flip here. So look for a wick here and then some strength. But if we don't get it, obviously, we're just going to look for that higher time frame support. Hedra, unfortunately, closing below those lows of about 21 cents. So we are breaking structure here. And I would expect price to continue trending bearish. If we get some strength, though, just look for the retest of that resistance flip of about 23 cents. To then go push price back down. But if we just keep closing bearish on the day, we're going to look for higher time frame support down here and perhaps our Fibonacci levels high to low right here. And we're getting pretty close to that and filling some imbalance. But again, super weak for all the ISO coins. Litecoin, unfortunately, breaking below that support and resistance flip. We closed below it on this daily candle. And now we will just look for price to retest that 103 zone. We are testing it right now with a wick. So if we end up closing bearish on this daily candle, we will look for higher time frame support. If today we magically close above this, though, we will just look for the break and retest. Polkadot, again, failing to break these highs. We said we'd like to see how price reacts to this order block that broke this high here. We closed within it, so I'd expect price to go down and sweep this, but we'll just keep looking at our daily closes here. If we close above, then we'll start to look for price to get out of this order block and test some resistance up here or run the highs. But again, just look for the break of these lows of about 360. Uniswap unfortunately broke below that order block that broke that high here. So we are just looking for price to retest that higher time frame support of about $6.65 for then the retest and the push back up to highs, or the break below and then the retest bearish. Ondo Finance, we are just still reacting to those lows now, trading practically in this range here. We do have a support and resistance at about 90 cents and about $1. And we'll just look to see how price reacts to these lows. We are trading below this psychological and technical resistance of $1. So we'll look for a retest, or we'll just look for these lows to finally get broken and close below at about 84 cents. If we close below 84 cents, we'll look for the test of higher time frame support down here at about 66 cents. And Polygon, of course, getting rejected at that 30 cents price level. We did say price would go retrace, take this liquidity, and react to higher time frame support. So now that we took the liquidity, let's just see how price reacts to these lows. Algorand, very unfortunate break of this 4-hour order block and close below this higher time frame resistance. We will just look for strength to then go retest this resistance, or price to just continue closing bearish and go test higher time frame support. We do have some support down here at 16 cents. And if we drag the fib high to low here, we have already closed in it and have disrespected it. Jumping down on the 4-hour, we can see a break here, and I'd expect price to just retrace, fill some imbalance, and test that resistance again. Quant sweeping out that order block that broke the high here, and then we did just go wick to try to test highs again. So if we close below this low of 86.50 on the day, we'll test this higher time frame support. And if we break above the high of $99, we'll look for the push to the higher time frame resistance. IOTA closing below those lows that tested this support initially. And again, we are just accumulating within this support. But if we continue to close within it or bearish, I'd expect price to then go sweep the support. If we close bullish though, look for the fill of some imbalance or the push to test highs or resistance. XDC still just accumulating, and we're looking for the test of that 6-cent level to then go push up to 10 cents. All right, guys, that concludes Friday's episode of the Crypto Charts Daily Report. If you enjoyed this in-depth technical analysis, like, comment, and subscribe, and consider sharing this video with your friends that you told to buy crypto at highs, and like always, they got retraced on 60% and they hate you, and you avoid them in public every time you see them. Anyway, guys, enjoy the weekend. We'll be back Monday for, of course, Meme Coin Monday. We'll analyze the top meme coins as well as the whole list of altcoins. Anyway, guys, see you Monday. Peace out.